You know how fast you were going?
What? How fast you were going?
I don't know. 10?
8.
Be advised, this is an explicit podcast, so if you're easily offended, get your panties twisted into a knot, turn this off before you get butthurt and mad, start to cry, have to run to your safe space. All opinions are those of the host and his guest, and do not reflect the opinions of any government agency.
Welcome to another episode of MOTORCOP Chronicles podcast. I'm your host, Iceman. Let's start this one out a little bit different than I usually do. I'm not going to start off with the funny like I usually do. The last, month or two, had two guys that I used to work with. Of course, they were retired. They were older gentlemen. Passed away and died. Well, Saturday I went to the wake, funeral, whatever you want to call it. It was just a graveside thing, of course, with the COVID and everything going on. This guy I used to work with, me and the ticket master went. I mean, of course, it's sad that, the man passed away. For his family and friends, and he had grandchildren and everything else. What's also sad is that these people dedicated their, most of their adult life to public service, and the only two people that used to work with this man showed up, me and the ticket master, after all those years of doing all that, and we're the only two that's going to show up. I think it's pretty damn pathetic that you can spend, 20 plus years of your life doing something, and the people that you worked with, and they're supposed to be your friends and all this crap with the whole thin blue line thing and everything, can't take an hour or 2 hours out of their day just to show up, show a little respect, and go home. No one's that damn busy that you can't do it. So that brings me to my other point, is especially for younger, this is more for the younger generation in law enforcement now, or if you want to get into law enforcement. Now, don't get me wrong, I've totally loved my 26 years or so career doing this. I don't know, I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. But don't let the whole, brotherhood thing with the thin blue line thing get in your head too much. Me and Ticketmaster talked about this a little bit yesterday. He's been retired, I don't know, 5 or 6 years now. And I only think they're out of, the hundreds of people that he's worked with that he considered his family, there's probably about 4 or 5 of us that actually have any contact or having too much to do with him. I work for a different department. I spent 23 years at one department, and not knocking any of the guys or anything, but it's just the cold hard truth facts about it. Whenever you leave a department, either to go to work at a different department, or if you retire or anything like that, once you move on or leave that department or any department, people forget who you are, Really, you fall out of touch and everything else with people like that. My point is with the younger cops or people wanting to be cops, don't just dedicate. I mean, you dedicate your life to the job, but try to have some friends outside of work, non-cop friends, and also try make sure you spend time with your family and stuff like that because they're the ones that's going to be there in the end of it. Once you move on or hang that badge up or whatever, all them other people you found out real quick were basically work friends. Wasn't just true lifelong friends. So don't hang yourself up just work constantly. I've seen people, lots of them, marriages and girlfriends and just all that stuff, divorces and stuff like that because of the job, because you spend so much time doing it. I understand, we do have to work extra duty to make some extra money to make ends meet, stuff like that, but just make sure you spend time with your family, try to have some non-cop friends, and I know that's hard to say, trust me. Trust me. I know. Because it seems like, that's in any occupation. Firemen are going to hang around other firemen. If you work at Walmart, you're going to hang around other Walmart employees. That's just people you're around all the time. But do your best. Do your best. I have some friends, that are not in law enforcement. Just do your best to branch out a little bit and just because, like I said, once you hang that badge up, your life's going to change and you're going to realize quick that all the people you thought were going to be around to be your friends are not there. So that's what I want to say about that right there. Didn't mean to start out being all sad, gloomy, and doomy and all that stuff like that because, I guess that sucks. So let's move on to that. Of course, not, as I said before, I'm not a real religious person or anything like that. I know people that are, but my heart goes out to the families of the two retired people I worked for, with. One I worked for, one I worked with, and hearts and prayers to that family. And I know for a fact I've lost both my mom and dad, and you'll move on. Your life will change some, but you will move on. But you never forget the loss, the pain of the loss. I'll say subsides. It never goes away, but it does subside. So enough of the sadness, because I'm sure no one listens to me for sad crap, right? So I don't know what happened to my live feed. OBS disconnected for a minute, so just bear with me. I don't know what happened with it. All right, like I said, let's start out. Let's go to a story. I pull over this guy, like in a Jeep Cherokee or something like that, not too long ago. He was doing 89 and a 65. I go get the subject's info. I had to reboot my computer and stuff to run his information. I don't know, it froze up. I came back with his ticket, or her ticket. It's not a guy, it was a female. I come back with it. Everything was going good. She, it took me a little while back there, and I go back and I said, look, I'm sorry it took so long. Well, the first thing out of her mouth was, oh, she's like, I know. I have 2 warrants out for me. Like, Well, I didn't check for those. I was actually rebooting my computer, but thanks for telling me you had 2 warrants out for your arrest since I didn't run you for that. That's what having guilty conscience gets you. So, regardless, I didn't arrest her or anything. It was traffic warrants, and of course, with the COVID stuff going on right now and everything, they don't want us, arresting people for little misdemeanor stuff like that. I did advise her she might want to go ahead and take care of her warrants before something happens and she does end up getting herself arrested, which wouldn't be good for her. But that happens all the time. People come up and she's like, "Oh, I know." I guess because it took me a while, she figured I was running through her information. She just ratted herself completely out with me. Told me she had 2 warrants out for her arrest. Then later that day, I pulled over a car, 79 and a 60. The driver asked me, how did I get him speeding? I was like, I used a LiDAR. He's like, yeah, but I don't understand how you got me. I said, I used the LiDAR, which is a laser. I pointed it at you, held it on there, got a steady lock tone, locked your speed. And that's how I did. I got you. No, you understand. I don't understand how you got me because I have a cop blocker. I'm like, what? A cop blocker? I looked on his dashboard. What he had a radar detector, laser detector. He called it a cop blocker. This guy thought this thing, I guess, was like a jammer, or it put a force field around his fucking car, so we couldn't get him. It blocks us or something like that. I'm like, dude. I said, did it go off? Oh, yeah, it went off. I said, that just lets you know I just caught you. I said, that's basically about what those things are good for. But it's not a cop blocker. That was the first for me that he's like, oh, no, I got a cock blocker. I've been cock blocked before, but I've never been cop blocked before. So I thought that one was quite funny that dude thought that radar LiDAR detector was a cop blocker. And then I pulled over a guy doing 70 and 55, and he told me that the speed limit was 60. I'm like, no, it's 55. You just passed a sign, 300 yards back. And he's going to try to argue with me about the speed. Let me tell you what, when I go out running radar, laser, whatever, when I'm working traffic, before I set up, I don't care if I was there the day before I set up, every time I'll drive up and down the road and make sure that it's posted correctly and properly, and check to make sure what the speed is, because just in case the parish people or state come in and change them and you don't know about it. But I always check it, and I always verify the signs are up and the road's marked properly. I do that every single time. And this guy's gonna sit here and try to fucking argue with me about what the speed limit is. So I just saw your comment, Anastasia. It says we were all waiting. I guess that was from way in the beginning. I'm not sure. I just saw it pop up. Well, you don't have to wait no more. I'm right here. Anyway, the guy's gonna sit here and try to freaking argue with me about. Then he said he was only doing 60. So I actually go, which I don't have to by Louisiana state law. I don't have to show you my radar or my LiDAR to prove to you that I clocked you. I don't have to. Even if some people think we do. Maybe in some states they do. In Louisiana, I don't have to. So go stick that YouTube law up your ass when y'all people say that. But anyway, I actually go and I bring back my LiDAR and I show him where I locked him at 70 and 55 at 936.7 feet away from me. And he was going southbound. Now, this guy's in here fucking arguing with me. And he's driving under suspension. His DUS. Or Captain American, like say. He is trying to do a 34-15 shuffle. You're going to sit here and try to argue a fucking speeding ticket when you're driving under suspension, which is arrestable. I can arrest you and tow your car for driving under suspension. You're going to argue with me about... I mean, have some fucking common sense. First of all, if I was driving under suspension, I sure the fuck would not be at all. I would not be at all driving over the speed limit. I'd probably be about 3 or 4 miles an hour underneath the speed limit. But this motherfucker can sit there and argue with me about how fast he was going when he wasn't even supposed to be driving, period. He wasn't even supposed to be behind the wheel of a car. But I'm going to argue with the popo because I'm stupid. He ended up getting his ticket. I heard him for, I think, speeding, and I didn't write him for the driver in suspension. I did write him for the new driver's license person. Had his passenger drive. At first, he was like, oh, you know, after I explained it to him, that I could charge him with it, you know, about driving under suspension and all that crap like that. And if he wanted to keep arguing with him, we could be civil human beings about this. Or he could go to jail and I could tow his car and stuff. He decided to go home in his vehicle. I mean, just have some fucking common sense, people. It's a speeding ticket. Just take the fucking ticket. If you want to argue with me, fine. I love to argue. Don't do it on the side of the road. If you want to contest your ticket, if you believe that you were not really going that fast and I just made this shit up, or you think I clocked somebody else, or whatever excuse you may have, show up in court, plead not guilty, then show back up in court, and they'll subpoena me, and I will show up for court, and we can argue. You can argue your point in front of the judge because you're not going to win the argument on the side of the fucking road. It's not going to happen. But people every single day, want to stop and try to argue on the side of the road. You ain't even got to talk to me. I've read some news story not too long ago and some other shit like that, and they fucking, you know, saying, oh, don't do this, don't do that. It's like, you don't have to, I'm not going to ask you questions if I'm not looking at, don't give them permission to search your car. Well, I'm not going to ask you to search your car. If I search your car, a lot of time I'm not going to have any permission because I smell like the marijuana coming out of it, where I don't have to need a warrant because I smelt it. Or if I could have a canine run a dog around it or something like that. And, I mean, and if he gets a hit, that's my probable cause. I mean, y'all go ahead and listen to these YouTube lawyers, or like Moose Knuckles said, those street lawyers and shit like that. Go ahead and listen to them because they'll end up getting you in more shit than you care to want to get yourself out of. So go ahead and go listen to them. It's asinine. All right, he went home. He can't help it. He's a dumbass, and some people just can't help themselves. Catch him again, never know. Might end up going to jail. This next little story happened on a Thursday, and this past Thursday. And like I said, it's not funny. I should have did this in the beginning when I wasn't trying to be funny or nothing. But we myself, the Tot, Sergeant Wheezy, and I think some uniform guys showed up at request of the funeral home at the church. And then we ended up going to, after escorting it to the graveyard, the cemetery. We actually had to go into the cemetery because this poor old person that died, did not have any, any too many friends and really no family. And they needed us to be the pallbearers to put the deceased person in the hearse on and take him out at the cemetery. That's sad when either you outlive everyone or you just don't have nobody. That's my point at the beginning of the podcast here. And we did have to. That was the second time in my career that I've had to be a pallbearer on duty because the person didn't have any family or friends to do such. The first one was a very, very extremely old person that was like almost 100, and they lived in a nursing home. And unfortunately, the only people, they had outlived everybody. They even outlived their own children. And the only other friends they had were at the nursing home that they brought in a van, and they sure in hell couldn't pick it up. So we ended up having to do pallbearers on that one. So my point in the beginning of it, hello Jennifer, and is try to make some friends. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of them, so I'm probably gonna be one of them people. Hopefully if I live long enough that they'll have to ask somebody to be my pallbearer. All right, I pull over a car. I think this was Tuesday or Wednesday, and I go up. She's like, I tell her how fast she was going, and she's just a bitch. Oh, I wasn't going that fast. Blah, 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 blah. You know, it's like, well, I just didn't make it up, ma'am. Just sit here. I'm not going to argue with you. That's exactly what I said. I'm not going to argue with you. Just sit tight. She had a passenger with her. I go back. I was on my motorcycle. I went back, wrote her a ticket, came back. I'm explaining the citation to her, you know, by signing it. By signing this, you're not guilty. You're not admitting to guilt. All you're stating is that, you know, you're either going to pay it or show up in court, blah, blah, blah. Same spiel, different day. Well, her passenger looks at me and says, well, how's your day going? I said, it's been going pretty good until, you know, I'm not going to say the subject's last name on here, but Miss So-and-so, you know, because I've had a few Miss So-and-sos. I didn't say Karen, I said her last name, you know, and the passenger kind of giggled. Well, I guess that's what it needed because the driver who was being a Karen or whatever you want to call him, a bitch. I hate that figure Karen, but who was being a bitch at first. Decides she cracks a smile and starts laughing. And she's like, "Oh, I was just scared." I'm like, "What do you got to be scared of? I mean, you're speeding. I pulled you over right here on a major state highway that's got you know 30 cars a minute or more second coming by here. What do you have to be scared of?" Anyway, I made the mean lady smile and was actually laughing when she left after she got the ticket. Hopefully, she takes that attitude along with her father along with her because her life will be much happier. All right, this next one's the other day. This was just, I think this was Friday. Yeah, this was Friday. This was just Friday. And anyway, it was raining. Nasty weather. I was in my unit, which is a truck. And the National Guard had been doing some food distribution thing. We were there to monitor traffic if they needed any help with traffic, which they didn't. So we were there a while, but there wasn't. We were there several hours, 3 or 4 hours, and well, like I said, I'm almost 50. I had to pee. Okay, I had to pee. There was nowhere for me to pee. So I go off. I go off and I'm in a parking lot. Like I'm 2 football fields away from anybody else. Anybody. So I carry empty cups. Anyway, I had an empty cup in there. Well, I'm going to pee in the cup. Well, I start to pee in the cup. Well, as soon as I start to pee in the fucking cup, here comes this person driving across the fucking parking lot. Oh, so I just shut the pee down halfway through and get everything put back up before, Billy Bob Smith drives up to ask me a question. I'm like, fuck, can't even piss in the cup in peace. But anyway, I peed in a cup and got interrupted. Just and made sure I was away from every single body. And nobody seemed. The windows on my unit are like limo tinted dark. You cannot see in it at all. So, oh, that's illegal. I didn't do it. It's a old narcotics unit. It was like that when I got it, but couldn't even pee in a cup in peace. That fucking sucks. Really bad. All right, let me go. We're gonna take our little commercial break real fast to help out with our friends and stuff. So sit tight. So you can take but a couple minutes, and we'll be right back. All right.
Stand by.
We interrupt this program for an important announcement. Ladies and gentlemen.
Are you standing by? A very important message is coming. Are you still standing by?
We interrupt for this breaking news.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
There's a podcast that happens on Saturday night that you need to know about. All right, can I get out of serious mode? Let's go to goofy. Okay. Make sure to listen to Louisiana Saturday Night. Robert and April are your hosts, and they talk a lot about current events. And occasionally they'll have a guest and include them on the conversation. It's raw, it's blunt, and explicit. Well, if there is one thing I know, and that is I like dirty. Anyway. It's for anyone who wants to have fun and not take life so seriously. God knows we need that these days. Robert and April on Louisiana Saturday Night. Check them out at louisianasaturdaynight.podbean.com.
Hold up. Stop. What is that shit? Yes, that's better. Perfectly dysfunctional. One messed up, crazy family having conversations about who knows what.
Okay, back getting your laughs on. Both podcasts are funny, and you never know what's going to come out of anyone's mouth with it either. So go check them out. They're on all the podcast platforms also. And Robert and April also go live on Facebook. I don't know. I think they said something about changing platform. I'm not sure, but go check them out. They're funny. You know, they'll talk about politics and all kind of other different crap. You never know. You never know what they're gonna say. I'm gonna get into my in the news story coming up, and let's get it reading. This is when did it happen? This was like 12 days ago, but I had saw it and saved it and forgot to talk about it last week. Anyway, it said the overnight escape reveals rule against prison guards disturbing inmates while they sleep. This comes from Fox News. It said a manhunt is underway for 6 inmates who broke out of a California prison. Of course, this would be in California. Prison by climbing a 20-foot high roof, and the escape was not discovered until the next morning. They used a makeshift rope out of braided sheets and were able to come down the side of the building. Merced County Sheriff, I can't even say his guy's name, his first name is Vern, said of the incident which occurred on Saturday night. Warning, said officers at the Merced County Jail noticed the inmates were gone during morning head count and believe the breakout happened around 11:30 p.m. the night before. We do have officers walking up and down the cell blocks, but we are no longer allowed to wake them up because they deemed it necessary for them to have a whole night's sleep, they said. Well, I'm so sorry that they were waking inmates up to make sure they were still fucking there. Said the prison had been facing staffing shortages in recent years due to state and local budget cuts. The inmates were in ages between 19 and 21. 3 of them are facing murder charges, and 2 have been accused of firearms offenses. Officers from the local, state, and federal agencies are assisting in the search. They're advising the community to remain vigilant and not approach the prisoners if they are spotted. They're considered armed and dangerous. A $5,000 reward per inmate is being offered for information leading to the arrest. My whole thing on this story is they're not allowed to wake the inmates up to let them have a whole night's sleep. Do I have to say it? What the fuck? I worked in DOC and I've worked in parish prison before. And we would count the inmates like every hour. We had hourly head counts, and we didn't wake them up unless we had to. The rule was we didn't have to wake the inmates up as long as you could see skin. You have to see skin. So if they're covered up all the way and I couldn't see no skin, we'd wake them up. Now, if I could see their head, they're actually head, not hair, but head, skin, or hand, arm, you know, we wouldn't wake them up. But no, let's let the inmates get their full 8 hours in, because they only slept, 12 hours during the fucking day. But like I said, that comes out of that's from California. Go figure, right? I got all Jesus Christ. You know what kind of head fucking start they had? I mean, they had like an 8 to 9 hour head start or longer. That's fucking crazy. Don't wake the inmates up. Don't let the poor little buddies be sleep deprived. I'm sorry, that's just some fucked up shit right there. I just can't believe it. See what other stories I have. All right, let me get to this last one. We're right at half an hour. It's about all I do when I'm by myself anyway. Excuse me, because I am stopped up. I pulled this car over for a 76 and a 60. And when I got her clocked, she was changing from the left lane into the right lane, passing, which the right lane's not the passing lane. I walk up, tell her why I stopped her. She says, "Oh, that wasn't me. I wasn't going that fast." It wasn't me and I wasn't going that fast thing again. I'm sorry. I just, it must have been somebody else. I had that little dot on for my LiDAR clocking them. I advised her, "Look, ma'am, I'm not here to argue with you." I said, "No." I said, "By the way, your license plate expired in August of 2020. "Oh, I didn't know that." "Oh, I'm sure you fucking didn't. My whole thing about this is, you sitting there, here goes another one wanting to argue when they got more than one thing wrong with their vehicle. Just shut up. Be quiet. Take your ticket and go about your business. I did write her for both of those offenses because sometimes I just get tired of it. Oh, Robert, I am not harassing the public. I'm keeping the public safe from their bad driving habits. I might have saved that woman's life by stopping her from speeding. And now she knows her license plate expired. Pulled these kids over the other day. And he was a little cocky little bastard. I think he was like 18. A little cocky, like, he's just a little cocky fuck. And I'm a bully, yeah. Well, you're right there with me, brother. Right there with me. This little cocky fucker, and I'm telling him what he's doing. I'm like, look, I'm not arguing with you, buddy. Just, I said, look, you want me to go get my tent meter out? Because you look like you're a little dark on the tent. I said, no, by the way, your motor vehicle inspection sticker expired in 2020. I mean, I'm sorry, it was 2019. I said, but I understand you've been really, really busy and you were on your way today to go get a new one, right? Because that's what they like to, that's like what the fuck. Oh, I was on my way to get that. Well, it's been expired 2 fucking years and you've just been so busy in your 19-year-old life that today was the day you decided to go get it. I mean, okay. I wasn't born yesterday. Just shut up, stop the line, dumbass. You're 18. And this was like 11 o'clock during the day. So obviously you don't have a fucking job either. So you can't be that goddamn busy that you couldn't find the time. Just lazy. All right. My thing is I wouldn't even have fucked with him about his inspection sticker if he wouldn't have been running his damn mouth being a little prick. I'd have wrote him his one speeding ticket and let him go about his business. But because you wanted to argue and shit with me, here goes an extra one. Keep it up. I'm going to look for some more shit. Let me tell you what, Anastasia, those some damn, lawbreakers. I just like working traffic. It's not major issue stuff, but I just love it. But as us law enforcement people know, you encounter a lot of assholes working traffic. And I like the one that's like, why don't you stop harassing the working man? I'm just out here trying to make a living and go catch the real criminals. Okay. You know how many, crimes have been solved or criminals have been taken off the streets because of a broken tail light or a blinker violation or a speeding violation or something like that? A lot of them. Like I said, I think I said it before. I think Ted Bundy got caught because of a traffic cop because he got a parking ticket or some shit like that. Well, if that mean old cop wouldn't have been, harassing the world. I don't know. I don't know why my OBS keeps disconnecting and reconnecting. I got the lag issue solved and now it keeps connecting and disconnecting. All right. Well, I'm not going to keep everybody on here super long tonight. And I guess we'll get together next week. Hopefully, maybe I'll find a guest or something. I had some I could have lined up, but after the whole funeral thing I talked about in the beginning, I don't know, I just wasn't in the mood to get a guest on. Oh, I know I am, Robert. I am such that right there.
You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier.
There you go. That's what Robert said on a live feed for people that's on podcast. He said, people out there selling drugs and you're harassing people on their way to work. Come on, man. You're a lying dog-faced pony soldier. But you know what? Hey, might have a whole bunch of people applying to law enforcement because there's only, probably about 50,000 of them or so that used to work on a pipeline and don't have jobs no more. So I'm sure they're lying dog-faced pony soldiers also. So if anybody out there wants to be a guest wants to email their story, let me read it. Email me. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter. Let me know. We'll get you on. We'll figure something out. Make a nickname for you. Our email address is motorcopchronicles@gmail.com. Our Twitter account is @MotorC. And MotorCop Chronicles podcast is on Facebook. Said if you're a first responder of any type, communications, jailer, cop, motor cop, I'd really love to get a bicycle cop on here. That would be something I haven't got to do yet. I'd really enjoy that. Yes, the unions are upset. Get Donald on there and talk about his micro penis. Talking about micro penises. All right. And everybody out there, always remember to smile, because the Iceman could always be behind you.
I'm cranking up on the throttle. This is how